Hey, what's up everybody? I love how Sanderson has made it damn near impossible to root against Kaladin. I mean, this is how you build sympathy and get an audience to root for your protagonist. Personally, I'm just about 300 pages into The Way of Kings, and every 100 pages, I like to make a piece of content focusing on one part of the story, and today's episode is about Kaladin and what he's done and what he's accomplished so far. Basically, more importantly, how Brandon Sanderson has set up a series of events to make you really root for Kaladin. You could see that Kaladin leads by example, and he chose to lead his bridge crew charging up straight up against a wall of archers, all shooting straight at him, which is basically suicide, right? But he chose to take that spot because he couldn't ask that of his men. And I love how Sanderson had set this up, because in a previous chapter, Dalinar was basically talking about how a real leader wouldn't ask his men to do something he wouldn't do himself. Talking to Sadeas or about Sadeas, and just saying like, okay, yeah, it's faster, but you're having your men do something you yourself wouldn't do, and that's messed up. And he respects him a little bit less as a leader for that. And I think we as the audience, I think we can all really agree, if he's not willing to do it himself, it's kind of a shitty thing to do, right? So then we contrast that with Kaladin's chapter, and he is willing to do that. He's not just going by the old ways, how Dalinar is reading from this old book and, taking these lessons to heart. He just inherently wants to do it this way because he feels it's right. And so that makes me the reader, and, us, the readers, we have to assume that Dalinar and Kaladin, once they cross paths, as it looks like they're about to do, I'm assuming Dalinar is going to notice him and want to put him in charge of stuff. I don't know what, make him a sergeant or a general or something, but he's going to put him in charge of people. Right? Or no, am I going to be totally wrong on this? Watch he does. Watch they don't even cross paths, like they just near miss each other. So when we see Kaladin take charge and step up front, you're like, that's a leader. That is a leader right there. I want him on my team. Yes, let's go. And then there's the flashback scene from his childhood, where him and his love interest, I believe her name was Laurel, but even during that flashback, she mentions that Kaladin's always sort of melancholy. He's always kind of down. And so it makes me think like, okay, when we saw him as an adult, he was ready to jump into the chasm and end it all. I don't want to say it was a logical thing, but you could see his train of thought because of how horrible his life was, and he was facing death pretty much any day, and he was just suffering. But to know that he was kind of down like that as a kid, it's like, okay, so now Sanderson is telling us that he's either battling depression or something like that. And so on top of all of the problems Kaladin's facing, he's also dealing with depression, most likely, and I think it makes his struggle all that much more powerful, because it tells us that he always had to deal with this sadness. He always had to, even before all the wars, before he lost his friends, even when he was sort of a privileged child who didn't have to work in the fields like the other kids, he got to learn to be a surgeon. He was still sad. He was still, he still felt bad. So with that in mind, we know that every time he doesn't give up, every time he doesn't back down, and he fights any and everything and attacks every obstacle, he has also that chip on his shoulder, also that monkey on his back that he has to overcome. And he does. And it sounds like he's doing it with a positive attitude. He's out there like, I don't care, I'm just going to keep doing it, keep working, keep going, let's go. And it's just, wow, it's impressive. And then you see his work ethic, that he's winning over the bridge crew. These are all men who are facing death, and they feel like, well, we're going to die anyway, so who cares? You can tell just by his sheer work ethic and training and carrying carrying the wood when he doesn't have to. Even during their off time, he's still training. He's slowly inspiring the crew, and also slowly inspiring us, the readers, right? It's not that he's just built different, or I don't know if this is a chosen one kind of story yet. I know Dalinar's hearing voices and things like that. There could be a prophecy, and Kaladin could be like a chosen one kind of character. I don't know. It's too early to tell. But he can use magic or something like it, because I noticed he had a gemstone, and we know when he went to the apothecary, this gemstone still had shard light. And he went into battle, he felt a burst of energy when all of the arrows were coming at him, and he somehow, I assume, used that shard light as magic to make a barrier or something, because everybody standing next to him got hit by an arrow, and he didn't. At first, like during the flashback when he was a child and he got into a fight, it was described that he gets this burst of energy and it makes him fight harder and all this. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, he's having an adrenaline rush. So I thought, okay, yeah, so he has a lot of adrenaline. But then when it happened again and all the arrows are coming at him, yeah, sure, he fears that he's about to die, he gets an adrenaline rush, makes sense to me. But then when he went to give the gemstone to Gaz, there was no more light, and I was like, Sanderson's telling us he used that light, because somehow all of the stones he got are already dim. And so I think when he was training, he also used their power, and he doesn't know it yet, but we now, as the reader, have an idea. And that makes him unique, I think. I mean, I haven't really encountered other people. I don't know, is that a common ability? Like, other people using shard light? Like, maybe it is, right? Maybe it's a common thing, but maybe something people have to be trained in. It definitely sets him apart from the other people in his crew. And I think generally people like to read stories about people who are, extraordinary, people with special abilities and powers. So he has a lot of crazy obstacles he has to overcome, but he also has some extra abilities that maybe not everybody has. So I feel like it adds more excitement. It looks like I've said earlier, that Dalinar and Kaladin are about to cross paths. My two favorite characters so far. And that's great that it's happening. There's a lot of epic fantasy stories, I think, where you have a huge cast of characters and you wonder, will they ever interact with each other? Maybe they do at the end of the book, or in the second book or third book. But we're getting two really important characters, and they're about to cross paths right now, which is, yeah, it's about 300 pages, which is the size of a lot of other books. But in this book, it's still relatively early. Oh man, I think my biggest question right now is just, will there be a worthy antagonist? That's what I would like to see next. But, next time when I check in, I'll be about 400 pages in. So if you like fantasy and you want to follow me along for this journey, hit the subscribe button, like, share, all of those things help the video a surprising amount. Well, thanks for your time, and until next time, later. It's hot. It's really, really hot. Can't wait for winter, though. I can't wait for winter. And by winter, I mean Evan Winter to finish the next Rage of Dragons novel. Yeah.